From Emory Jones, who held it down in prison for Jay-Z only to feel betrayed in the end, to DeHaven Herbie, the man who once took a bullet for him and later called him a traitor, to Diddy, now caught in federal charges that could destroy everything. Here's what really happened to Jay-Z's most dangerous allies. Let's begin with DeHaven Herbie. Our first story is perhaps the most tragic and controversial of them all. DeHaven Herbie, the childhood friend who claims he introduced Jay-Z to the drug gang. DeHaven, who's 6 months older than Jay-Z, grew up with him in the same building on the same floor in the Marcy Projects. They were inseparable, more than friends. They were brothers in every sense of the word. According to DeHaven, he was the one who taught Jay-Z the ropes of street life, including how to navigate deals and avoid risks. They hustled together in the late 1980s and early 1990s, moving cocaine from New York to places like Trenton, New Jersey, and Maryland. But here's where the story gets intense. DeHaven claims that one night during an uptown drug deal, everything went wrong.
Any issues he ever had, I handled that. From reasonable doubt, when he sit here and tell you, my man got his side sprayed up on Uptown Block, that's me. That's me with this scar from here up here. So he never had no street issues. Rob him, I'm going to see them. You understand? When I go see them got me on the floor with the guns, surrounded with the guns to my head. Behind him. Only thing saved my life is me really knowing these niggas. They spared my life.
DeHaven was shot protecting Jay-Z, taking a bullet in the side during an ambush. He waved down a cab, gave Jay-Z the drugs and money, and told him to get his mother and meet him at the hospital. This moment, according to DeHaven, proved his ultimate loyalty. Jay-Z even referenced this incident in Dead Presidents 2 from his debut album, Reasonable Doubt, rapping about his man getting his side sprayed up on an uptown block. But the real betrayal came years later. In the early 2000s, DeHaven was arrested on federal drug trafficking charges. He claims that during his trial, Jay-Z looked him in the face and promised support, saying, "Don't worry about it, bro. I got you." But then, according to DeHaven, Jay-Z completely ghosted him. No visits, no money for lawyers, no support for his family.
Look at me in my face, right? During my trial, look at me in my face telling me, yo, don't worry about it, bro. I got you. And I never see him again.
DeHaven fought his case and won, beating the charges without cooperating with authorities. But by then, the damage was done. He came home to find himself homeless and struggling while Jay-Z had become one of the biggest stars in hip-hop. The beef escalated when Jay-Z released No Hook in 2007 with the line, "Fuck DeHaven for caving. That's why we don't speak," implying DeHaven had snitched during his trial. DeHaven has consistently denied these allegations, stating in multiple interviews that he never cooperated and has no paperwork proving otherwise. The situation became even more complicated when DeHaven revealed that upon his release, he discovered Jay-Z was now partnering with Desiree Perez, DeHaven's ex-girlfriend from the early 1990s, who had become a federal informant in a major drug case and later became CEO of Roc Nation. Today, DeHaven is 55 years old and living a low-key life, appearing on podcasts and running an Instagram series called The Marcy Made to tell a side of the story. In recent 2024 interviews, he's called Jay-Z a coward and stated that reconciliation is impossible, though he says he's forgiven him for his own peace of mind. Sean Diddy Combs. Now, we come to perhaps the most explosive and current story on this list. Sean Diddy Combs, Jay-Z's longtime friend, collaborator, and fellow mogul, is currently facing some of the most serious allegations in hip-hop history. For decades, Diddy and Jay-Z have been linked as two of the most successful figures to emerge from the streets to build entertainment empires.
It's 2020, y'all. Yeah. And it's different than when it was 2016. You know, the game has been elevated. As we can tell, there's no expense being spared. We had a black billionaire.
Their relationship dates back to the late 1990s, when both were establishing themselves as not just artists, but business moguls. They collaborated on tracks, co-hosted industry events, and were frequently seen together at parties and gatherings. Their bond seemed unshakable. Two Brooklyn to Harlem kids who had conquered the music industry and built billion-dollar brands. They co-owned ventures, attended each other's celebrations, and presented a united front as Black excellence in entertainment. But in September 2024, everything changed. Diddy was arrested on federal charges of sex trafficking, racketeering, and coercion involving what prosecutors call freak-off parties dating back to 2008. The indictment painted a disturbing picture of Diddy allegedly using his power and influence to coerce women into drug-fueled sexual performances, often recorded without consent. He pleaded not guilty, but the evidence seemed overwhelming, with over 100 accusers coming forward with similar stories. Then came the bombshell that directly implicated Jay-Z. In December 2024, a civil lawsuit was amended to accuse both Diddy and Jay-Z of raping a 13-year-old girl at an after-party following the 2000 MTV Video Music Awards. The anonymous plaintiff, represented by attorney Tony Busby, claimed she was lured by a limousine driver, drugged, and assaulted by both men, while an unnamed female celebrity watched but didn't intervene. Jay-Z's response was immediate and fierce. He denied the allegations completely, calling them heinous and accusing Busby of extortion and blackmail. His lawyer, Alex Spiro, filed a countersuit claiming Busby had demanded a settlement to keep the suit private, which Jay-Z refused, stating he would never settle false claims because it would only encourage more false accusations against celebrities. Jay-Z emphasized that he had never been close friends with Diddy despite their public appearances together. Diddy still remains in federal custody, awaiting trial on the original criminal charges. Meanwhile, Jay-Z has tried to distance himself publicly, with his lawyer stating in interviews that despite decades of public friendship, they aren't close friends, a claim many find hard to believe given their documented history of collaborations, parties, and business ventures together. Emory Vegas Jones. Now, here's a story with a different ending, one that shows what happens when loyalty goes both ways. Emory Jones, nicknamed Vegas for his flashy style, met Jay-Z around 1989 during their prime hustling days in Brooklyn and New Jersey. They were deep in the cocaine trade, with Jones handling logistics and distribution alongside Jay-Z.
Who is Emory Jones? Who is Emory Jones?
Humble soul, that's who I am. Just a humble soul that just happened to have a great best friend and brother named Jay-Z is part of the story.
Jay-Z idolized Jones's business acumen and loyalty, referencing him in tracks like Allure as a figure who exemplified both the rewards and dangers of street life. Jones was part of Jay-Z's inner circle as he transitioned into music, providing that crucial street credibility to early Roc Nation ventures. But unlike the Haven story, this one takes a very different turn. In the early 2000s, Jones was arrested on federal drug trafficking charges related to cocaine distribution. He was sentenced to approximately 16 years in prison in 2003, serving time in facilities like FCI Fort Dix. Now, here's where the story diverges dramatically from DeHaven's experience. Jay-Z demonstrated rare loyalty throughout Jones's entire incarceration. During Jones's time behind bars, Jay-Z visited him multiple times, sent financial support to his family, and even referenced his plight in his lyrics to keep his name alive. This wasn't just talk. Jay-Z literally kept Jones's name relevant in the culture while he was locked away, ensuring that when he came home, there would be opportunities waiting. Jones has openly discussed this in interviews, saying that Jay-Z's actions during his darkest hours proved he was solid and that their bond was unbreakable. This loyalty wasn't just emotional. It was practical and life-changing. When Jones was released around 2019 after benefiting from sentencing reforms and good behavior, he didn't come home to nothing. Instead, he was immediately brought into the Roc Nation family. Today, at around 55 years old, Emory Jones is thriving as the head of Roc Nation's apparel division. He's launched incredibly successful collaborations, including a Puma partnership that resulted in his own signature sneaker line in 2023. Something almost unheard of for someone who isn't an athlete or entertainer. His work emphasizes themes of redemption, second chances, and betting on yourself, which is literally the name of his signature project, notorious beyond when we talk about Jay-Z's deadliest affiliates. We have to address the notorious B.I., born Christopher Wallace, one of his earliest and most influential connections in hip-hop. Biggie and Jay-Z were both Brooklyn natives trying making the rap game during the early 1990s, and their relationship was complex. Part friendship, part rivalry, but always respectful. They collaborated on the legendary track Brooklyn's Finest from Jay-Z's debut album, Reasonable Doubt, in 1996, a song that showcased both of their lyrical abilities and cemented their status as two of Brooklyn's best. There were even plans for them to form a supergroup called The Commission, along with other top-tier rappers, which would have been one of the most formidable crews in hip-hop history, given their street credibility and talent. However, their relationship wasn't without tension. As both of their careers accelerated, there were rumors of competition and underlying friction. Biggie was already a superstar with Bad Boy Records, while Jay-Z was still grinding with his independent Roc Nation label. Some accounts suggest their relationship had begun to sour over territorial issues and the natural competitiveness of two alpha males vying for the crown of New York's best rapper. Then came the tragedy that shook hip-hop to its core. On March 9, 1997, Biggie was gunned down in a drive-by shooting in Los Angeles, leaving a Soul Train Music Awards party. He was just 24 years old, at the absolute peak of his powers, with his album Life After Death about to drop. The murder happened amid the infamous East Coast, West Coast rap feud that had already claimed Tupac Shakur 6 months earlier.
It was like, I went from, shock. I just couldn't believe it. Like, I just got finished talking to this man on the phone. Like, it wasn't even, he's in the club, like, having the time of his life, It was just like that. Yeah, it just couldn't happen.
The killing remains officially unsolved, though theories abound linking it to rivalries involving Death Row Records, Suge Knight, and the ongoing coastal beef that had already turned deadly. What made it even more tragic was that Biggie had traveled to Los Angeles trying to promote peace in his new album, not looking for trouble. He was ambushed at a red light, shot multiple times, and died shortly after at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. He was just 24 years old at the absolute peak of his powers, with his album Life After Death about to drop. The murder happened amid the infamous East Coast, West Coast rap feud that had already claimed Tupac Shakur 6 months earlier. For Jay-Z, Biggie's death was a pivotal moment. He has paid tribute to Biggie numerous times in his music, honoring his legacy and acknowledging their connection. But there has always been speculation about Jay-Z's role, or lack thereof, in the East-West beef. Some have questioned whether he could have done more to prevent the escalation, while others have suggested he benefited from Biggie's death by filling the void left by Brooklyn's king. Moving deeper into Jay-Z's past, we need to talk about Calvin Beek, known as Clean, a name that might not ring bells for casual fans, but was absolutely legendary in 1980s Brooklyn. Klein wasn't just another hustler. He was a notorious drug kingpin who Jay-Z looked up to as a big brother figure and mentor in the game. Starting around 1989, Jay-Z began hustling under Klein's wing, learning the intricacies of scaling operations and evading law enforcement. Klein's operation was massive, involving stick-ups and large-scale cocaine distribution before he linked up with the young Sean Carter. The relationship was so impactful that Jay-Z immortalized Clean in multiple songs, most famously in Allure, where he raps about riding shotgun in Klein's green BMW 5 Series, and in December 4th, where he portrays Klein as a symbol of the addictive nature of street life.
My Uncle Buzz, like he had this police look with him, right? So he was easier to move up and down the highway. You know what I'm saying? Police, we'd be in a whole nother car, but the police would look at my uncle and be like, man, this nigga like the police. He keep going. He just had a police look.
Klein's influence on Jay-Z went beyond just drug-dealing tactics. He represented a lifestyle, a level of success in the streets that seemed untouchable at the time. Klein taught Jay-Z about presentation, about carrying yourself like a boss, even when the cops were circling. That Klein nickname itself was a nod to the designer brand Calvin Klein, reflecting his stylish demeanor and his approach to the game. Everything had to look good. Everything had to be calculated. But like so many in that era, Klein's empire eventually crumbled in the 1990s. He faced multiple arrests and was eventually convicted on drug and weapons charges, beginning a prison sentence that would last over a decade starting around 1994. During one particular bust, there are claims that Jay-Z was allegedly present but managed to escape charges, with some suggestion that Klein took the fall to protect him, though this has never been definitively proven. What's interesting about Klein's story compared to others on this list is that he doesn't harbor the same level of resentment. released in the mid-2000s. Klein transitioned to legitimate work, appearing in documentaries and doing interviews about his past life. He even had a brief acting stint, including a role in the 2002 film Paid in Full, which dramatized the era they all lived through. In his interviews, particularly a detailed 2014 Vlad TV series, Klein speaks about his partnership with Jay-Z with a sense of pride rather than bitterness. He praises Jay-Z's intelligence and business acumen, acknowledging that even back then, you could see Sean Carter was destined for something bigger than the streets. Klein has noted that the game's dangers, the constant threat of violence, imprisonment, or death, made his time behind bars feel like a blessing in disguise because it ultimately saved his life.